There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Excuse me, but is this an unknown unknown?
I'm not.
Several unknowns, and I'm just wondering if this is an unknown
I'm not going to
unknown.
say which it is.
I just pull these two things out. I've laundered them so you can't really tell what I'm talking about because I don't want the Iraqis to know what I'm talking about. But trust me, trust me.
The American news media all covered the build-up to war and the war in the same way. They were essentially reading off the script of the White House.
A lot of research looking at framing examines the sources used, and study after study of source use finds this overwhelming reliance on what are called official sources.
Jonathan Aiken is standing by with the latest word from the White House.
Pentagon officials tell us.
According to U.S. intelligence,
I'm told by officials, a couple of officials at the White House.
A top official at the U.S. military's Central Command said today Saddam Hussein is acquiring U.S. and British uniforms. This official won't say how he knows, but he says Saddam plans to order disguised Iraqi paramilitary troops to attack Iraqi civilians and blame it on the Allies.
Because of the business factors that the news media and journalists work under, quite often they take the easiest route to getting their information, and a lot of that comes through experts provided by the government that can tell the story the way the government wants it to be told.
We now know today that the Bush administration brought into the administration's public relations plan to manage the launch of the war, the so-called Pentagon pundits, some 75 former military officers, former generals, colonels, admirals, who actually were being paid by the TV networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, Fox.
Our expert through all of this is retired Major General Don Shepard with the U.S. Air Force.
So when they bring these experts in who are ex-military or ex-CIA, what they offer the news media is the story behind the strength of the military, the drama of what's happening with the technology, the types of missiles and tanks that are being used, and therefore then they play into that war games model, creating the video game style documentary coverage to enhance the drama behind the war.
Let's do a little quick map talk now to put you in perspective, and there are some important points to make. First, we're going to put up a map of the Middle East, and General Kernan and General Smith, help me as we go through here. Iraq is up here, Baghdad roughly in this place. Now, the Tomahawk cruise missiles could have been launched from positions in the Red Sea.
True.
Correct?
Correct.
Is that the most likely place from which they would have been fired?
They're in the Persian Gulf in all probability.
You think you're getting a tremendous amount of information. You're getting really small messages, but people think, wow, I'm watching TV. I'm sitting here for hours. They are doing in-depth reporting. Look, they even have these retired admirals and colonels with pointers and maps telling me what's really going on here. I'm soaking in all this information.
One of the problems with this is that it becomes almost the ultimate reality TV, and you can forget, I mean, you take the scenes of these vehicles racing across the desert and you add in the fancy graphics and maps and this and that, and you can, if you're not careful, it's true at this end, and I worry it's also true at the other end, you can lose sight of the fact that this is no game and this is no TV show, this is war.
It was something quite astonishing, biblical.
We just had another incoming, and it exploded very, very close to our position here. We're now rolling across the desert.
We'll pound them with 2,000-pound bombs and then go in.
2,000-pound bombs in urban areas?
Oh, sure.
I think we've seen a lot of criticism of the government for treating journalists the way they did. I think the blame lies much more with media organizations than it lies with the government for not producing the type of coverage or not asking the type of questions that they should have all along. Now we have much more of a critical view of the war, with different folks having different perspectives on the surge during the 2008 campaign. But ultimately, a lot of these things come at a point when the war on terror already is an established frame. They come at a point when already certain language, like the weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, is, you can't imagine a discussion of this war without those three letters in them somewhere.
Once you create an echo chamber, what resonates are not only the messages, but the people who are hearing that simply hear no other facts, no other information, and the resonating message becomes stronger and stronger and stronger.
Once the war against Saddam begins, we expect every American to support our military, and if they can't do that, to shut up.
I must say, I was trying to think of something that would be appropriate to say on an occasion like this, and as is often the case, the best you can come up with is something that Shakespeare wrote for Henry V, wreak havoc and unleash the dogs of war.
It's very easy from the outside to say what should good war coverage look like, and it's not always that easy to produce because we need to talk longer about the economic issues, the impact that the war is going to have on different groups in society, and even questioning why we are in the war, what is our purpose, and our strategies, do they actually match the purpose of the war? When you talk about a global war on terror, those words sound wonderful, and that sounds like a great title for a war movie, but does it really accomplish the goal of fighting terrorism?
The important lesson of all of this for a journalist is really to figure out what the different frames are that are being offered by different players in the policy arena, what the different modes of interpretation are, and also to some degree to understand what that does to audiences. And then to very carefully come in and present the story in a way that he or she feels most accurately gets the facts across.
If we go in a way that seems like we're going alone, very negative long-term political impacts, both for us and the region.